Visibility. We all love seeing things, but what if I said no? Today's video is Terraria Master Mode with invisible enemies. It was kinda stupid. Enjoy. A certain someone was visible, and I didn't like that. Something had to change. I don't want to see Scott's ugly face anymore. I then decided to install a new texture pack called Invisible NPCs, which makes all enemies and NPCs invisible. Everything that moves is invisible. Why did I do this? I don't know. It's really just annoying. But as you can see, for some reason his hand appears. That's a thing. And I come across my first enemy, an invisible blue slime. I can hover over enemies and see their name tag, and I couldn't find any way to get rid of it. Also, if a slime contains an item inside of it, like this one that had bombs inside of it, I can see those. And I get jumped by some more slimes. I have my first death from a green slime. Little embarrassing. And then a purple slime kills me. I find a couple living trees, and unfortunately, I did not find a little bird minion to help me. Now, going into this, my main strategy was to find summon weapons. I splunk deeper into an ice cave, and I find an ice chest with a blizzard in a bottle in it. I get my first life crystal, I get some ores to help me out. Then an invisible ice bat sneaks up behind me and murders me, and I drop 4 gold. I then tried to use a gravity potion to dodge the night enemies to get back to my money, which spawned some invisible harpies, which was obviously a problem. And then I dropped right onto a zombie. I make a bit of housing, and then I start to create a elevator. I mine some ores, and then I get hit by what I think was an invisible bat into water, and then I got killed by an invisible piranha. As you can see, I can't. I find a sky island and I get a celestial magnet, which isn't great, but it was warding. And after some more mining and gathering of new goodies and getting smacked around by invisible enemies constantly, I've accumulated a decent setup, and then a blood moon rises. And then an invisible blood zombie murders me. But through the blood moon, I realized something. If I use my flare gun to light an enemy on fire, I can see them with flame. Now, any normal person would be like, sweet, I can use that to my advantage. Whereas me, I decided that's too easy. So I had to find the exact texture out of every texture in the Terraria files, and I could not find it anywhere. But turns out it's in this little file called dust.png. Dust.png contains all the particle effects. So I went into Photoshop and just deleted everything that looked like flames. And after creating my own texture pack and a lot of trial and error, I finally did it. Enemies do not visibly set on fire anymore. I then fell into a spider cave and got my face ripped off by an invisible spider. Yes, invisible spider. That is something I'd see in my night terrors. Well, okay, well, actually, I guess I wouldn't see it in my night terrors. Oh, what? It's a ghost that's invisible. So a normal ghost. I continue making my elevator and dying to enemies such as an invisible black slime. Because it's so short, I don't know where to attack. I then use another gravity potion and get another celestial magnet and a star fury. And I finally made it to hell. Can I do anything here? No. And then suddenly, while I'm exploring an ice cave, I feel an evil presence watching over me. So it's time, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to fight our first boss, the Eye of Cthulhu. And the Eye of Cthulhu spawns, and where is it? Even though I can kind of see where he is because of the particles, I still don't know his trajectory. I don't know where the eye is going to go. I don't know if it's above or below me. So it kind of just destroys me. To be fair, I was underprepared. But I was going to the snow biome for one specific thing, and that was Flinx fur. I wanted to farm Flinxes for the summon weapon. Now, this is not easy because Flinxes are not common and they're invisible. I spent the next over 20 minutes of my life farming invisible Flinxes until I had enough to make the summon weapon and then the Flinx fur coat. And now I have 2 Super Mario Bros defending my title. That's right, they added Super Mario into Terraria. It's actually a crossover with the new Super Mario Wonder game, if you didn't know. I then headed over to the underground desert to try and get some nifty goodies such as a bar statue and a magic conch, which I got pretty quickly. I then headed to the jungle, and invisible jungle enemies are pretty cringe. Invisible hornets, oh my gosh. And then it started raining slime, which my summons basically were taking care of the slimes on their own. And pretty shortly, the king slime spawns, and his crown is still visible. The person who made this texture pack, did they test this? I mean, I know where the king slime is. His crown is literally visible. So I was not happy with that. I had to save and quit, go into the textures, find the crown, go into Photoshop, erase the crown, and then put it into my texture pack. But now the king slime spawns, and he is completely invisible. But I consumed a featherfall potion so that I could stay in the air as long as possible, just jump up and down. And with my summons and help with the Featherfall potion and just keeping my distance, the King Slime was easily dealt with. And that's the first invisible boss defeated. I then headed back to the jungle and got murdered by invisible enemies. I got a Staff of Regrowth and an Anklet of the Wind. Now with some jungle loot, I created the Snap Thorn, which is our first whip. And I also made a jungle hat and leggings because they actually give more defense than gold armor. And since we have the Flinx fur coat, the set bonus doesn't matter. Now, using the whip, I realized one big issue. When I hit an enemy, it creates this white circle on the enemy that allows me to just see where it is. This is obviously cheating. So I went back into the textures and had to find the circle thing, which took me so long to find. I then found a Dr. Bones and it dropped the Archaeologist hat. That's freaking epic. Smash like, guys. And now with all the tools that I need, I decided to fight the Eye of Cthulhu for real this time. Now, my summons do help me to figure out where the eye is because they jump right on top of the eye. So that's helping a bit. And my massively high defense now as a summoner means that I'm not getting hit very hard. With a bar statue and iron skin, I'm taking 7 damage from the Eye of Cthulhu. Like, it's nothing. So I just kept kind of guessing where the eye was and hoping that I wasn't going to get hit. Making big movements as I heard the dash to attempt to dodge it. Eye of Cthulhu gets to its last phase and it just starts dashing like a maniac. I can't see where it's going. I can't see how close it is to me, so I'm taking quite a few hits, but it's not doing too much damage to me. I can tank this pretty good. And yeah, I just keep my distance, keep smacking my whip around, hoping to hit him. And eventually, with only 60 health left, we defeated the Eye of Cthulhu. Could that have gone smoother? Yeah, sure, it could have, but a win's a win at the end of the day. And now we have a Shield of Cthulhu, which I can actually use in this challenge one. Oh my gosh, guys, it's a miracle. It won't last long, guys. Next challenge, it's gonna be gone. Now at this point, I'm super geared up. I'm ready to go, but I am just kind of waiting for a Goblin army to spawn. Then I realized I hadn't smashed any Crimson Hearts, so that's probably why. And guess what? The next morning, a Goblin army starts approaching. So with the Goblin army here, I now have to deal with invisible Goblin. It was kind of annoying. Now the Goblin sorcerers did create particles, so I could kind of see where they were sometimes, but everything else I could not see, which caused me to die a few times pretty brutally. But eventually the Goblin army has been defeated. And you know what? I'm glad I didn't set an eye on them. They are so incredibly ugly, I didn't even want to see their faces. And now something incredibly cringe. Now, as I said before, all my NPCs are invisible. So in turn, the bound Goblin is also invisible. How on earth am I going to find the Goblin? That's right. I'm going to go down into the caves and hover over everything until I find a name tag. I did not know how long this was going to take. I didn't even know if I would find him. At this point, I was accepting if I never find the Goblin Tinkerer in this run and I have to go without it. But like a child on Christmas morning, I was so gleeful and joyful to find the 2 words bound Goblin. I've never been more excited to find someone roped up and abandoned in a cave before. And while I can't see the Goblin Tinkerer, I definitely can still smell him. Please leave my nostrils alone. And now it's time to go fishing, but I soon realized how annoying it's going to be to try and capture bait that are invisible. So I just start swinging my bug net around until I actually catch something. Now I have a confession. This is actually the first time I'm doing Summoner as a full playthrough. And this challenge kind of is an excuse to do Summoner. And I remembered that there is something called whip stacking, where if you use 2 whips, it'll actually make your summons do more damage. So I bought a leather whip from the Invisible Zoologist, and this is the only time in Terraria history that I haven't had my pickaxe in the 2nd slot. Mark this down on your calendars, boys. This is a monumental occasion. I actually went and did a quest fish. I did an angler quest, guys, and I don't even have to do the achievement. I've already done it. What am I doing? Who am I? Who have I become? What will Waffle Time think of me? These are the thoughts that were going through my head as I did a fishing quest. Ugh. And then I started my search for the Aether biome, which I happened to find in a cave which was connected to one of the Crimson Chasm. And I got all the permanent buffs that I need. Now what's funny is the shimmer actually makes enemies invisible when they go in it, but guess what? They already are. So what now, game? What now? And then guess what? I did another quest fish. Who am I? What have I become? I got a tackle box, which decreases bait consumption, which is extremely helpful when fishing. And with nothing left to do, I headed over to the Crimson to fight the next boss. So I spawned the Brain of Cthulhu, and it's obviously completely invisible. All its creepers are invisible. I cannot see anything. I'm just kind of moving around, hoping I'm not gonna get hit. I can use the poison tick damage. The poison tick damage helps me know where they are, kind of. But apart from that, I really really don't know. But I have fought these bosses many times before, so I know their general behavior. And eventually all the creepers are dead and it's just the Brain of Cthulhu left. And luckily for me, I have summons, and the summons will go to exactly where the brain is. The brain is doing its optical illusion where it spawns 4 of them, but it doesn't matter if I can't see him. That changes nothing for me. You can't trick me if I can't see you. And with the help of my minions, the Brain of Cthulhu falls to me very easily. I'm basically full health. And now with the brain defeated, I went and collected some obsidian and some hellstone. Now hell is a little annoying because, well, there's hell enemies that are completely invisible, but I then make some obsidian armor, which is our first full set of summoner armor. I then bombed an area in the jungle for an arena for the queen bee, and I buffed up and summoned her. Now this boss fight won't be too easy. The way she dashes and everything, obviously I can't see her, but I can use the audio cue that she makes when she dashes to know when she's going to dash at me. And also, the fact that she's on fire from my fire imp summons actually helps me see her because she glows from the fire, which emits light onto the background. So I actually was kind of able to see her, and on full health, I defeat the queen bee because I come way over prepared to these things. And I casually beat her again, but this time not as convincingly, but at least we beat her. And with all that, I'm able to make the bee armor and the hornet staff. And now I'm able to get the pygmy necklace from the witch doctor, and with not much else to do, I decide to fight Skeletron. I buff up, I summon Skeletron, and I soon realize that I can basically see his every movement because he gives off a lot of blood particles. I save and quit, and I went back into the dust image and just got rid of everything red, anything dark red, anything that possibly could be contributing to the blood effect. And then I summon Skeletron again the next night. Now with Skeletron, all I really have to do is keep my distance and hope not to get smacked by one of his hands that I can't see. And because I can't see the hands, I don't know if I'm hitting his head or his hands. I'm just hoping my summons will do what they need to do against the hands. And eventually I destroy one of his hands and the homing skulls start coming out, but I haven't destroyed the other hand yet. So I'm getting a little worried. I have to dodge these homing skulls and attempt to destroy the hand, which I don't know if it's the left or the right hand that needs to be destroyed. I get some good hits off on it though. And finally, the second hand has been destroyed. And now I can just target Skeletron's big fat skull, which isn't easy because I have to keep my distance from the homing skulls and also find his skull in the midst of it and not run into it. That is the one thing, is using whips is close range, and when the boss is invisible, it's a bit hard to get close to it safely. And I defeat Skeletron on full health. No problems at all. And now with Skeletron defeated, I can head into the dungeon. There's not a whole lot I want in here. I do get a cobalt shield, but more importantly, I find an alchemy station and a bewitching table, which gives me an extra summon slot. Incredibly helpful. Now the skeletons are kind of annoying being invisible and all. My summons basically took care of it. And with all the bones I acquired, I was able to make the spinal tap. And I actually decided to do something that I don't usually do, and that is to fight the Odd One's army. Now this was because I wanted a certain accessory, and after a failed first attempt and a lot of invisible enemies, I managed to kill a dark mage right as I failed the Odd One's army with seconds to spare. And crazy enough, I actually got the accessory I wanted and the permanent buff station I wanted, being the Squire's Shield and the War Table. And then I proceeded to actually defeat the Odd One's army, and now it's time to create a hell bridge for the Wall of Flesh. This was pretty annoying because I had to deal with invisible hell enemies while I was building a bridge, but you know, at least I had summons that have my back. Apparently my summons just have a sixth sense. They know when there's an enemy somehow. Maybe they have really good smell, but I managed to actually kill a guide voodoo demon. I also stumbled across the bound mechanic while in the dungeon after seeing her get hit twice. For some reason I can see the wrench on her back. Also, fun fact, the spiky ball in the dungeon is invisible. Apparently it's considered an enemy. And now, ladies and gentlemen, after building a big bridge, it is time to fight the Wall of Flesh. I actually came prepared and made the chain texture of the hungry invisible, knowing that that would be an issue. So the wall is completely invisible, but I can roughly know where it is because of the damage numbers. And I was kind of getting messed up here. I kept walking into the hungry unknowingly because I can't see them. So I just went on the run and then I died by a leech. So yeah, this might be a problem. You know, it's actually actually kind of hard. Not being able to see the hungry at all lures me into this false sense of security when there's actually like something that wants to eat my flesh off right in my face, but I don't know that. But here we go again. I just need to try again. So I just start hitting the wall with my spinal tap, trying to dash away from the hungry, but there are a few times where I just completely misjudge the space that I have. And then I go too close to the wall, I try to dash away, and I bounce off a hungry with the shield and go straight into the wall, which messes me up completely, and I die. But we got the wall down to under half health, so that's not too bad. Now I'm out of guide voodoo dolls, so I have to create a house in hell so that I could drop him into lava. Now this turned out to be a harder thing than I anticipated because I can't see the guide. So breaking the blocks from underneath him to spawn the wall of flesh was actually harder than I thought. But luckily I did get another guide voodoo doll. But yeah, I died at basically the same spot again. I got too close to the wall, it was faster than I thought, and I died. When there's a party for the NPCs though, you can actually see them because they have party hats on. So anytime there's a party, I'm celebrating because I can actually see my freaking NPCs. Now if only they'll pay rent. Now this attempt seems to be going pretty well. I'm keeping my distance where I need to. I do get kind of messed up at one point. I was just getting messed up by the lasers, and then the wall started to get pretty dang fast and started to shoot its lasers like a madman. And at this point, I'm just running for my life. And it's incredibly low, but it combos me with like 3 lasers and I die, and I only had 300 health left. Just a slither of health left. Incredibly frustrating, but at least I know this is possible. I break the floor from underneath the guide again, a worthy sacrifice that I am willing to make. But on this attempt, I guess I got too close to the wall of flesh again because something does 150 damage to me and then I'm dead. I then got hit by an invisible hellbat for almost everything I'm worth. I confused it and it started running from me, and then another one came and murdered me. But here we go, another attempt at the wall. And for some reason, this attempt, I actually ran out of bridge space, which caused me to die. And this time, it was even closer. I got it down to 188 health. This is getting ridiculous. One more time, we will defeat it this time, I swear. I just need to remember to not be too greedy. I need to play safe and everything will work out. There's just so much to think about when the wall is invisible. I have to think about the hungry that I can't see. I have to think about the lasers that are gonna come. I have to think about where the wall is that I cannot see. It's easy to make one mistake, but I just kept doing what I do best. Once the wall got down to under 1,000, it starts spamming lasers at me and it gets incredibly quick. It actually goes into me and drags me, but I was almost full health, so I was able to tank it, and the wall of flesh has been defeated finally. And there we go, pre-hard mode has been triumphed with invisible enemies, and I actually got the firecracker from the wall of flesh. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below. It means so much. I'm trying to get to 100k. I know we can do it. So if you want to support my channel, hit that sub button, hit that like button. Pretty please. All right, let's get into hard mode. So first thing I did was go to the shimmer and I converted my emblem into a summoner emblem. I then went over to the crimson and smashed some crimson altars, which spawned some wraiths, and it turns out wraiths I can see, kind of. I can see their eyes. I then do a bit of hard mode ore grinding, and I go over to a spider biome to find some black recluses to farm some spider fang. Now, invisible black recluses aren't the most fun thing in the world. I mean, we're back to invisible spiders, and they hurt a lot. And after a lot of farming of invisible spiders, which was not fun because I didn't know where they were, I finally get myself a full set of spider armor and the queen spider staff. I decided to go to the snow and farm some ice golems until I got an ice feather, which actually dropped from the second ice golem I defeated. And then I farmed an invisible wyvern, which kind of messed me up, but I just barely lived. And I made myself some frozen wings. I then headed over to the hallowed and farmed some souls of light and some crystals and gelatin crystals. And then to the underground crimson to get some souls of night. Now, having had defeated some ice golems and having these souls, I am able to make the cool whip. Now I make an artificial corruption biome and funnel some water from a sky lake for a fishing pond so that I can catch some ebon koi for wrath potions. And while I'm at it, I defeat the Eater of Worlds to get the worm scarf. And then I went down to collect my loot and I picked up a corruption key. Okay, of course I get the corruption key. I just made the corruption. I get the key for the chest that isn't even in this world. My luck is just stupid. It's lucky, but it's unlucky. I then create a nice little platform in the hallowed because the first hard mode boss we're going to be fighting is the queen slime. Now I summon her and quickly realize that there is some gemstone in the middle of her. Once again, I had to go into the sprites to find it, which it was extra 186. And now we can fight the queen slime, who is now completely invisible. Now invisible queen slime is pretty annoying. And the fact that I don't know this boss super well because I don't usually fight it, that makes it kind of hard because I don't actually know its attack patterns. But luckily, my damage output is pretty high. Then once she gets to second phase, which I get to pretty easily, she has wings. And guess what? The wings aren't invisible. So I have to save and exit, go into the texture files, find the wings, and fight the Queen Slime again. I get to the second phase again, and this time there are no wings, but she's kind of messing me up. Abigail does good damage to her, but the amount of freaking projectiles that are spawning is insane. This is because the Queen Slime spawns minions. It spawns little slime minions for her that shoot a lot of projectiles, and if you don't deal with them, the projectiles stack up like crazy. But because they were invisible, I didn't realize that. It didn't even occur to me. And death after death after death, I was getting smacked around by the Queen Slime. The projectiles were insane. I was trying to get close enough to whip her, but her being invisible just made it so annoying. Like, I didn't know where she was. I didn't know if I was gonna collide with her. And I actually got the Queen Slime down to under 400 health. So freaking close. Basically, the main thing that I'm learning is that I have to kill the little slimes to make sure that I'm not getting bombarded by projectiles. And I'm just going left and right, trying to avoid the Queen Slime, not going too high so I don't go right into her. I'm just narrowly dodging these projectiles. Her minions kind of mess me up, but I do get a heal up, and now she's super low. And just like that, the Queen Slime has finally been defeated. That fight was so annoying and stressful. And guess what? I didn't even get the blade staff. The whole reason I did that fight. So let's fight her again. And I defeat her a second time in a row. And this time I don't get the blade staff. So let's do it again. And I died to her when she had 80 health left. Release me from this flesh prison. And then after another failed attempt, I defeat her again. No blade staff. Please end my suffering. I defeat her a second time in a row, and I finally get the blade staff. My torment has finally been vanquished. And now it's time to fight the twins. So I spawn the twins, and they're just visible. Oopsies. So this fight is very interesting when they're invisible. You basically know kinda where they are, because the twins are normally in predictable spots and they stay at that distance most of the time. It's just kind of hard to know where the other twin is. So I mainly just target one at a time. I don't know which one I'm targeting, but it's one of them. I try to whip stack, but the firecracker doesn't have a ton of range, which makes it a bit hard to use against the twins. And now one of the twins is in second phase. I don't know which one. Turns out it's Spasmatism. But guess what? When I was going through the particles in the dust file, I deleted green particles, which means that Spasmatism's fire is completely invisible. Now, could I go through and find that particle and bring it back? Yes. But is that any fun? No. So I decided that I'm just gonna deal with it, and we're gonna fight this boss with Spaz with completely invisible green breath, which makes it significantly harder, because when it's in second phase, that breath kills. Like, it destroys you. I attempted it again, and I got Spasmatism down to second phase again, but guess what? I went right into his cursed flames and just got destroyed. Once I got Retinator down to its second phase, there was a problem. His little eye laser was actually visible. So I had to go through all the textures to find the little red thing, which I thought was a texture called eye_laser. But then once I got both of them down to second phase again, it was still there. But this attempt is actually going pretty well. I'm keeping my distance and mainly targeting Retinator so that I can dodge Spasmatism as much as possible. And eventually, Retinator is killed, and it's just Spasmatism. And I basically know Spasmatism's patterns, and with that in mind, I dodge him as well as possible, and I finally defeated the twins. But because I'm a perfectionist, I thought that this was not good enough. The eye laser was visible. I went into the textures, found it, got rid of it, and I'm fighting the twins again. And on my next attempt, even with the eye laser gone, I defeat the twins, showing that it actually didn't make a difference. And now with all these hallowed bars, I'm able to make the summoner hallowed armor. Then when I was down in the crimson, I actually managed to kill an invisible crimson mimic. Now it's time for the destroyer. I spawned a destroyer, and the probe's eye lasers are still there. I don't know what they want from me, but I didn't know where it was. So not able to find it, I decided to fight the destroyer with the probe eyes visible. I didn't want this to be the case, but I just couldn't find it. But holy crap, the destroyer is so annoying. The lasers are so overwhelming. The probes come out so quick if you do a lot of damage quickly to the destroyer. But I somehow managed to stay alive. The destroyer was down to under 20,000 health, but I collided right with the destroyer because it's invisible. But I decided to look through the textures one more time. Maybe I can find it. And through some sheer stroke of wisdom, I decided to just look up probe in the search, much, and wouldn't you know it, there is a PNG file just called probe. And now the probes are completely invisible. Let's freaking go. But on this attempt, I get overwhelmed by the invisible probes and I die. I tried again and I was just getting hit by everything. I won't lie, this was one of the hardest bosses of the playthrough. I couldn't see any of the probes. I couldn't see the destroyer himself, and he's massive. So I kept colliding with the destroyer, taking damage. Sometimes I get hit by his head because I don't know where it is. If you didn't notice, none of the bosses appear on the map. And I decided to give the destroyer a bit of a break. I want to fight Skeletron Prime. Skeletron Prime should be easier. All I have to do is keep my distance from Skeletron Prime and let all my summons do the work. I'm just using whip stacking to do as much damage as possible, staying away from its big skull, which I don't know where it is. Keep my distance. Don't get too arrogant. Don't go in for something stupid. Keep hitting him with my whip, not knowing if I'm hitting his hands or the head. I don't know. As long as I'm hitting something, then I'm good. And just like that, Skeletron Prime has been defeated pretty easily. He did combo me towards the end pretty hard, but he was almost dead, so it's fine. It doesn't matter. We're good. And yeah, that was much easier than the destroyer. I also realized that I am able to make the optic staff and the durendal, which should hopefully help out. I then spend a small fortune on reforges, and now it's time to fight the destroyer again. With all my new stuff, hopefully I can actually defeat it. And with the durendal, we are doing more damage, but the lasers are insane. I then get hit directly by the destroyer's head, which takes 260 health away from me, and then I'm scrambling. Now I'm freaking out. I am incredibly low. I don't want to have to waste a bunch of buffs, get another mechanical worm. I don't want to do any of that. So I'm just trying to stay alive. I'm flying away, not getting too close, and I actually managed to get my health back up to over 300. Now I have plenty of time in this fight. I don't have to take things that dangerously. I can play it safely. I'm full health now. I get a little cocky and a little close to the destroyer, which wasn't necessary, but it's so close to death. I just need to do a bit more damage, and there we freaking go. The destroyer has finally been defeated, and we were basically full health in the end. Now it's time to just mind clarify it and look for life fruit. Eventually I did get to a full 500 health, and now it's time to expand my jungle arena for Plantera. And while I'm doing that, a solar eclipse happens. Now how cringe is a solar eclipse when all the enemies are invisible? It's kind of cringe. Pretty quickly I get a moonstone, which is pretty nice, and that's basically all I wanted. I spawn Plantera and quickly realize that her vines are not invisible. After reloading my texture pack, I have to go find a new Plantera's bulb and make my way up to the arena. Problem is, I don't know where she is. I don't know where she is to lead her, but eventually she peeks her face at me, and I slowly make my way to the arena. And by the time I'm there, she's basically a third dead. And very quickly, I got her into second phase, I think. I don't know. I can't actually tell because I can't see her, but she's under half health, so I assume she's in second phase. I get kind of messed up because she's fast and she has little Edie things that I can't see and I don't know where they are, and I'm getting messed up. But I made an Ossegoth tunnel just in case, and I will be utilizing it, but to be honest, it is not the easiest thing to use when she's invisible. But the Ossegoth tunnel reigns supreme, and Plantera has been defeated on the first genuine attempt. Now I'm able to get the Hercules beetle from the Witch Doctor and also the Tiki armor set. Now with Plantera defeated, I can head down into the post Plantera dungeon. There's not a whole lot I want down here, but I do want the Morningstar whip, which drops very quickly, and I also want a tabby and a black belt, which I also get pretty quickly. I then headed over to the Lizard Temple to get a solar tablet, and I purposely spawned the solar eclipse. I did this in an attempt to get a new summon weapon, that being the Deadly Sphere, but it is incredibly annoying to farm Deadly Spears when they are in fact invisible. So a whole solar eclipse goes by without getting one. But on this solar eclipse, I do get the Deadly Sphere stuff. And now I want to do the Pumpkin Moon. How annoying is the Pumpkin Moon with invisible enemies? About as annoying as you'd expect. Events are kind of dreadful. There's an insane amount of enemies and I can't see them. Now, one issue with the Pumpkin Moon is that the Morningwood have a fate. I genuinely spent so much of my life trying to find this texture, and eventually I just gave up. But I mean, luckily the pumpkin was completely invisible, but also not luckily because it completely shattered all my hopes and dreams. But I was able to kill a pumpkin, and the first one I killed dropped the Dark Harvest. Now with the Pumpkin Moon defeated, I got the new whip and some necromantic scrolls, which allows me to make the Papyrus Scarab, which is an incredible accessory. And now it's time for Golem, which I am extremely overprepared for. I also managed to get the Witch's Broom, which I can use for infinite flight, and I can switch out my wings and boots for more damaging accessories so that I can just do maximum damage. And I can also switch out my Master Ninja gear for something as well. So now I'm ready to fight the Golem. I spawn him and I realize that there's not only the chains still visible, but there's also this little crown on his head. I have to find this little Golem crown in the midst of all of this, which takes me a long time, but I finally find it. All right, let's do it for real this time. I spawned the Golem and he is completely invisible this time. Let's go. And the damage output to the Golem is just utterly insane. I am melting this fool. He has no freaking chance on me. The damage is literally insane. I'm not even taking that much damage and he is just getting smoked. Absolutely annihilated. And that's the Golem fight. Literally pathetic as per usual. So I fight the Golem multiple more times because I was farming for a sunstone. So once I ran out of Golem summons, I had to actually farm some invisible lizards. I managed to get a jungle key, which I guess isn't bad. I can use it, I guess. And I head to the space layer to find a Martian probe to summon the Martian Madness event. Now, unfortunately, I can see the Martian probe and it instantly probes me. So we're gonna have to fix that, but it's time to fight the Martians. And a lot of these enemies are visible. And after like half an hour of going through textures, now it's time for my literal hell. The one thing that I'm looking for, the UFO spawns and it absolutely annihilates me. Another one spawns and it destroys me. What is even freaking hitting me? What is even hitting me? I have defeated the Martian Madness event, but I did not get what I wanted. I didn't even beat a UFO. All I want is a Xeno staff. So back to the space layer. Then I finally get a Martian probe to spawn, but it's still visible. I just start whacking a bunch of these Martians until I finally get a UFO to spawn. Now all I have to do is memorize its attack patterns. It shoots lasers, then it shoots rockets, and then a death laser. And then once all of its parts are destroyed, it just starts shooting only death lasers. This sucks. Martian Madness Invisible is the worst thing ever. I'm confused. I got confusion. And I finally defeat my first Martian sorcerer. And then I die again. And then the Martians have been defeated. So guess what? I only defeated one Martian sorcerer in that whole event. And it dropped a laser machine gun. Finally find a probe. I defeat a UFO and it drops a Xeno popper. I die. I mean, 400 damage. How do I know? We're gonna freaking go! Influx waiver. Martians have been defeated. Go to space. Wyvern kills me. Martian probe. Invasion. Saucer almost kills me. Clutch it out. Drops a Xeno popper. Wyvern kills me. Why's there a Wyvern? Die. Cosmic car keys. Martians have been defeated. Space. Wyvern. I'm gonna freaking die. Just so you guys know, I made the Martian probes invisible now. Completely invisible. Was that a mistake? Of course it freaking was. I'm sick of these harpies. I'm sick of these wyverns. Little freaking rat. I'm having so much fun. There he is. Okay, I didn't get rid of that thing. Martian spawn again. There's another set of cosmic car keys. I die. Another laser machine gun. Electrosphere launcher. Oh my gosh. Now it's gonna be invisible. Oh my gosh. I was hoping I wouldn't find it. How am I going to trigger the event when I can't even see the probe itself? And after many wyverns that were literally driving me insane, I was hugging the top layer just hoping that one would spawn and instantly find me. And that actually happened, and now the Martians are invading from a probe that was completely invisible. This one better count. I died to a UFO. Come on. I die again. I die again. I die again. I kill one and it drops an influx waiver. Great. Awesome. Freaking give me this garbage. Freaking wyverns here. I die again. What? What hit me? I kill another one and this one drops an electrosphere launcher. Again. Freaking repeat after repeat. I've got every drop from the UFO with repeats except the Xeno staff. I got the laser machine gun twice. I got electrosphere launcher twice. I got influx waiver twice. I got cosmic car key twice. I got Xeno popper like 3 times. Xeno staff is the only other drop and I haven't gotten it. Aliens. I finally managed to spawn another Martian Madness event. Thank you. Now just freaking give me the item. I'm just asking for one thing. So 1 in 6. If I ever needed it, it's now. I'm developing a severe case of xenophobia. I am extremely xenophobic against these freaking rat aliens. I'll discriminate on them all day. Freaking laser machine gun. What the freak? Sick of these Tesla coils. Stop shooting at me. Oh my gosh. What? Great! Freaking Xenopopper. Awesome! I just really wanted a fourth one. This was probably one of the worst gaming experiences I've ever experienced. This was pure dread. The Martians, invisible, literally broke me. This was the worst thing I've ever done in my life, and I never want to do this again. But finally, the UFO drops a freaking Xeno stuff, and it's finally over. Finally! Oh, finally. Oh my god. Oh my god. You rat, you absolute rat. Now you spawn another. It's fine. I freaking got it. It's fine. Now I have one of the best summon weapons in my arsenal. The Xeno Staff is phenomenal. And what am I going to use it against? That's right, the Empress of Light. I spawn her and her gloves are still visible. Time to go back into the textures, find her gloves, delete it, and spawn her again. And guess what? I only deleted her right hand. Apparently there's separate textures. I spawn her again. Now my main strategy here is using the Witch's Broom and just having an insane amount of DPS. I'm using whip stacking to maximize my DPS as much as possible. And then I get her to second phase. And then she's just visible. Time to go back into the textures. Now with my whip stacking and pure raw DPS, this fight is not too hard. She is completely invisible now on second phase. And I'm just keeping my distance, making sure I'm not getting hit, going in between the projectiles and baiting them where I can. And the Xeno Staff and the whip stacking just absolutely decimates her. And I beat her on the first genuine attempt without any textures. Shocker, invisible Empress of Light isn't too hard because she's mainly a projectile boss. But lucky for me, on my first treasure bag, I get the Kaleidoscope, the best whip in the game. I then spend a small fortune getting my Kaleidoscope to legendary, and I reforge all my accessories for pure raw damage. Why am I doing this? For one reason in particular. That's right, I'm gonna fight invisible Daytime Empress. Basically, you can kill Daytime Empress very quickly if you use the right summon build. With Xeno Staff and whip stacking, the damage is insane. All I have to do is memorize her attack patterns and not collide with her when she does her dashes. But it's going pretty well. I quickly get her down to half health, which I think puts her into second phase. I can't really tell because I can't see her. But then she starts shooting the lances and I dodge them very poorly and I die very quickly. I spawn Daytime Empress again and this one does not go very well. As you can see, when I whip stack correctly, the attack speed on my whip just goes insane. Like the speed and damage is nuts. Now I get it at the second phase and I actually managed to dodge all the lances. Just barely. Then she shoots the homing projectiles, which I dodge, and she is getting extremely low. She then does some more lances that I can just circle to dodge. And just like that, Daytime Empress has been defeated. And our reward is a freaking Terra Prisma. It's as easy as that. Free Terra Prisma, baby. Let's freaking go. And then I did something incredibly stupid. Basking in all my glory, I went to the Goblin Tinkerer to sell my Kaleidoscope, and stupidly, I sold not only my prismatic lace wings, but also I sold my Terra Prisma. And you can see the realization when I go to reforge my Terra Prisma and I put a Kaleidoscope into the reforge slot. Time to beat Daytime Empress again. I can't believe I was that stupid, but after a few more attempts at Daytime Empress again, I do manage to no-hit her once again, and I get my second Terra Prisma of the playthrough. Let's not talk about that. I then go and do the Old One's army. I very easily with the Terra Prisma get to wave 7. Turns out Betsy's wings are visible, so I had to go through the textures and get rid of them, which took me forever to find. I then lost to the Old One's army, got up to wave 7 again, and guess what? I only removed one of Betsy's wings. Gotta go through the textures again, find the other wing, remove that texture, reload, do the Old One's army again, and finally Betsy is invisible. Now, invisible Betsy is actually kind of difficult, and I actually died to her, but she was incredibly low, and somehow, I guess my sentries finished her off because she died and I won the event. And I ended up getting the Betsy's Wrath. Now I went down into a glowing mushroom biome to find some truffle worms. Now this was incredibly annoying because they're invisible, but I used the enemy's own strategy against them. I used an invisibility potion. Now I'm invisible. If you can't beat them, join them. But But through the hovering method, I managed to get a few truffle worms. And with that, I spawn Duke Fishron. Luckily, he's completely invisible, so I don't have to go through the textures. I then whip stack him, and my Terra Prismas just go to town. I get him to half health like freaking instantly. Then I get him to 12k like insanely quickly. He then starts teleporting at me, and this is actually very difficult because I can't see him. So I don't know where he's coming from. And this actually may have been a big challenge for me if I didn't have Terra Prismas and a Kaleidoscope. But we managed to only just kill him, and that's Duke Fishron defeated. I then went ahead and fought him again on the Shrimpy Truffle mount, and I actually died with him with barely any health left. But I spawned him one last time. As you can see, I can't see where he's gonna come from. But I managed to defeat him, and I actually got the Tempest Staff and the Fishron wings. Now, I'm not gonna use the Tempest Staff, obviously, but you know, it's the thought that counts. Now it's time to fight the Lunatic Cultist. As per usual, the Lunatic is completely invisible. I don't know where he's teleporting to. I can see all the projectiles, which the fight mainly is just projectiles. I'm using Whip Stack, and I'm just completely decimating him. But right before I can kill him, he spawns the clones, and I can't see any of them, so I don't know which one's the right one. I just swing and guess. I hit the wrong one, but I just kill him right after. Summon damage is literally insane. This is Master Mode. And now it's time to fight the pillars. So I went through and just swung my whip and hopefully not get hit by enemies. Invisible pillars is kind of insane, but eventually I killed enough enemies to open up the pillar, and the Stardust pillar has been destroyed. Now I'm able to make the Stardust Dragon Staff, which I then reforged to Ruthless. I'm not going to use the Stardust Dragon for the pillars because the Terra Prisma is better for crowd control. Now when I get to the Nebula pillar, there's just a random eyeball that's visible. Back to the texture pack. Now there's nothing visible in the Nebula pillar. Now we kill things, then I die. But I go back to the Nebula pillar, I kill all the enemies I need to, and the Nebula pillar has been defeated. Then I headed over to the Solar pillar, and surprisingly, this actually wasn't that bad. I know. I don't know if I've ever said that before. The Solar pillar wasn't that bad, and I didn't cheese it. And they were invisible. But honestly, I just swung my whip left and right, and my Terra Prisma just did its job and just killed everything that even came close to me. And I actually did the Solar pillar without dying once, which is a spectacle to behold. And now only one pillar remains, the Vortex pillar. For this one, I just sat in a hole and just swung my whip. And after dying once, I finally defeat the Vortex pillar, and they actually kill me right as I destroy the pillar. So now I have to go over, grab the fragments, and make some super healing potions. And now I'm all ready. I buff up, I spawn my Stardust Dragon, and the Moonlord spawns. And there's a white square in the middle, and also the eyeballs are visible. I quickly found the eyeball, which was extra 19, so that's been dealt with. But I go on to fight this Moonlord just to see if I could defeat it, even with the eyeballs visible, but it ended up killing me. I spawned in the Moonlord again, and the eyes are gone, but the square is still there. I couldn't find out why the Moonlord had a square, but I couldn't get rid of it. So we're just gonna have to deal with it. The Moonlord has a square in the middle, but everything else is invisible. I start off by shooting Betsy's Wrath up to get the debuff inflicted on the top eye, and then just pummel it as much damage as I can. I don't know how much health the eyes have. I just have to kind of guesstimate. Now I am using Wings, Soaring Insignia, and Master Ninja Gear here, so I'm not going full damage output. I'm going for mobility and a bit more survivability. Now I kind of just guessed when the top eye was open. I didn't know for sure when the death laser was gonna come out, but it just felt right. It felt like it was gonna come out at that moment, and it did. So yeah, I was just kind of in the dark. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how much health the eyes were on. I just knew I had to dodge these projectiles and have a mental clock of when the top eye laser will come out, because I can't see when the top eye is open, but I can see the health bar of the top eye appear, which means the top eye is open, and as soon as the top eye is open, it'll have a few seconds before the laser comes out. So the top eye is incredibly low, but I mean, I am too. I don't know how much health the hands have, and a Phantasmal Death Ray kills me. We start with the same strategy, and it starts off really badly. I think I went into the eye and just got comboed, but we recover a little bit. I do dodge the death laser. I did get a Vortex Beater just to use at like a really long range if I'm not in whip distance. I pummel the top eye as soon as it comes out, but I didn't quite kill it. This boss is actually kind of hard when it's invisible. I mean, I'm just using my prior knowledge of this boss fight to know what to do. Anyone who's never fought this boss in their life would have no idea what the heck's going on. Now watching this back, I don't even know at what moment I destroyed the top eye, but eventually the top eye is destroyed and my dragon finished off the hands, and now the core is open. All I have to do is keep flying away from these projectiles levels with the soaring insignia. I have infinite flight, and now I'm just pummeling the core, doing insane amounts of DPS, and that's freaking it, baby. The Moon Lord has been defeated. We have officially defeated Terraria with invisible enemies. G friggin' G. But if you thought the video was over, it's not. It's not over. There is one last challenge I want to do, and it's ridiculous. I don't know why I attempted it, but I did. I fought and defeat the Moon Lord a second time to get more Luminite, which allowed me to make Stardust armor. So I went through the textures and deleted the Empress of Light's projectiles. The final challenge I'm gonna do is Daytime Empress with invisible projectiles. Yep. Now, on the first attack, I get Empress pretty low. When she does the Sundance attack, frankly, I'm scared of the Sundance attack. It's completely invisible. I don't want to die to it. Now, I don't know how exciting this is for viewers, because you can't see anything. And if you don't know the Empress's attack patterns, it just looks like nothing's going on. But trust me, there's a lot going on here. And if I don't move in a certain direction, I'm going to die instantly. And then spawn her again, dodge her first attack. I decided to be a little more ballsy with the Sun Dance and allow my Terra Prismas to hit it. But then turns out on second phase that the lines are still visible for the Lancers. But I ended up killing her. But I'm not satisfied with that. I don't want those lines to be visible. I gave it an attempt, died very quickly, tried again and died to the Ethereal Lancers because I didn't move correctly. Once again, died to the Ethereal Lancers, died again, and then one last time, spawned her with not much time left in the day. I dodge her first attack, hit her with the SDMG in her Sundance phase, and then I'm just moving around, hoping that I'm not going to get hit. She then goes into second phase. I move up and down to dodge the projectiles, and then I move up to dodge the final projectiles, and we have officially done it. We beat the Empress of Light, Daytime, invisible projectiles, and boss. And that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, trying to hit 100K. So I'd really appreciate you guys subscribing, and check my social medias down below. I really want to get some followers on there. I'm desperate. Please. I'll see you guys next time.